Welcome to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, where we help you take the next step in your fantasy journey. Here's your host, Jake.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jake, and I'm again joined by my friend Jordan. Jordan, how you doing?
Oh, so great.
So great.
So great. It's a beautiful, sunny Thursday.
Wisconsin day.
Yep.
It's good to be back. Took a week off. No particular reason why. just
life. Life happens.
Man.
We're ready to start breakdowns, though. We got 8 weeks of division breakdowns.
Yes, that was the big thing. So, we knew we might have a bit of a scheduling conflict. We didn't want to start these breakdowns until it was, all right, let's do 8 weeks for sure. We're not going to miss one. So we figured we'll push it a week, and we'll be living the dream.
I love it.
So, again, joined by my friend Jordan. Jordan is the man, really rocking the graphics department here.
Oh, yeah. It's just constantly these interns just keep learning new skills.
They really keep putting stuff out. Yeah. It's really impressive stuff, actually.
You know, at a certain point, you got to think that whoever's managing the interns is really, the star of the show.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, you could definitely start thinking that. I mean, I'm not quite there yet, but I could totally see it. So, guys, the way this is going to work, so for the next 8 weeks, we're going to break down every single fantasy relevant player. Are you standing? I'm sorry. We're live on YouTube, as the intro said, but if you're on YouTube, you can see this. Jordan, are you standing?
Yeah, I sure am.
Have you been standing this entire time?
Is that okay?
No, I'm asking. Have you been standing this entire time?
Yeah,
Really, every week?
Oh, no, not every week.
I
dabble.
Why don't you give the people, back up a little. Let's see what we're dealing with. How much space you got? Oh my gosh.
Space. All this space for activities.
Wow. He could catch a ball.
I mean, I wouldn't.
I'm going to need your wife to just throw you a ball at the beginning of every episode.
Oh, that'd be a great bit.
That'd be. So like I was saying, every week we're going to talk about every fantasy relevant player that persists to a division. So this week we're going to do the AFC East here in a sec. If we miss someone, let us know on our Facebook page. If you like someone, we're live on YouTube. We mentioned that. So youtube.com/Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Be a part of the chat. So if you're here in the chat, I see we got a few people in here right now. Come say hi. Tell us who you like. Tell us who you don't like. All that fun stuff. So I don't want to waste too much time because we do have 4 teams to get to. But, Jordan, you have some news, don't you?
I do. I do have some short news here. So I think the biggest, not even fantasy, but Jared Goff got paid. That's 4 years, $212 million extension. Jordan,
what'd you feel about that? Like, personally.
Oh, Jake, you just cut out on me. I know you were talking about Jared Goff, though. I know you're hyped for him.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry.
But that was Jared Goff's extension.
Yeah.
I'm going to rapid fire a bunch of other stuff at you, Jake. Probably your biggest news of your life, I know, Jake.
Personally, yeah.
Definitely a wide receiver, too. Odell signed with the Dolphins. So Odell signs with the Dolphins, Zay Jones to the Cardinals, Tyler Boyd to the Titans, to a crowded room there, DJ Chark to the Chargers. Just things to keep an eye on. We'll get to these in division breakdowns. Robert Tonyan signs with the Vikings, and then MVS and Chase Claypool sign with the Bills, which we'll get to here shortly, because it could have some impacts on the most recent ADPs that have come out.
Yeah, it's not updated on our graphic, is it?
Nope, because the ADPs aren't, Jake.
Oh, that's right. All right.
Yep.
All right. No, what I was going to say is, Jordan, personally, how do you feel about the Jared Goff being paid?
About people getting paid? Get your money. Get your money.
I hate it. You want to know why? Because we were at the draft, and everyone there is like, Jared Goff. And I'm just like, oh, my God. And we were making fun about how he's like the 16th best quarterback, Well, now he's being paid like the top 5.
Oh, he's getting paid like the second. I think it's Joe Burrow and then him, I think, is the breakdown of that.
Well, I
Dak
hate
Prescott
that.
Gets paid. But, yeah.
And Jordan Love.
And Jordan Love.
Oh, gosh.
Yep,
all right.
Exactly.
Anything else you got?
Nope, those are the news. The MVS, Chase Claypool are the biggest ones, but we'll talk about it when we get to our teams here.
Yeah, we're full transparency. I mean, listen, I'll say this. So right now the NFL is in the news a lot. The schedule just came out, right? That's a big deal. There's that. There's some Chiefs kicker stuff that we're not going to get into because I know someone's going to be like, why aren't you talking about Harrison Buckner?
I will not. I will not talk about kickers.
I refuse. We are consistent in all of that. Someone in the chat says, "Are you getting Pat McAfee on the show soon?" Yes, soon.
Soon, yeah.
To
Soon
a later
relative.
date, I believe it is. If anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, we had Pat McAfee did some cool stuff about the podcast, which was really neat. Is there anything about the schedule you wanted to talk about, Jordan?
Game in Brazil.
Yeah.
The Ravens Chiefs open it all up. I think and obviously there's like something like 9 playoff matchups in the first, whatever in this playoff rematches, I should say, in the first in the schedule, which is exciting. And then the Jets just get all these primetime games again, which is bleh.
Just bleh. They have like 6 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's all a bunch of bleh. That's my thought. People make a big deal about it, and it just doesn't seem to matter. So.
Yeah. So it's exciting, but not until I draft, like the schedule release and all the bye weeks and stuff. I care about it more when I'm drafting, or when I start drafting, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't we get into the teams then? All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
I am being told that I am a little glitchy. So if that's happening on your guys' end, I do apologize for that. Jordan, I don't know what to do about that in midstream. So
no, it could be me too. Could be me.
Could be me. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, moving
on. All right. So apologies if it happens. But am I good enough to continue?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right, let's start with the Bills. The graphic department really stepped up today. We got the AFC East Buffalo Bills. If you noticed, Jordan, why don't you point out the graphic?
Oh, at the draft, the 2024 draft this year, they released all of these alternate logos for teams. And if you can look at the graphic and just kind of peek behind it, for those of you listening later, follow us on Instagram. They're posted there. You can see the alternate logos kind of as the background. I thought that was pretty
cool
fancy
stuff
from the interns. Yeah, look out. Yep.
All right, so this graphic, obviously, we'll get to receivers in a sec, but it is missing MVS, but we will clump them into some of these other guys. So let's start with Josh Allen.
Yeah, let me give you a quick outline of what these are. So these are kind of thinking of your fantasy football roster: quarterback, running back, 2 receivers, tight end, flex. So, and it's the top ADPs for those position groups. So when you're looking at those teams, it's whoever the first quarterback is, whoever the first running back, the top 2 receivers, the top tight end, and then whoever the next best player is.
Yeah.
As far as ADPs are concerned right now, and this is May. These are when these ADPs are taken, which will change. They'll definitely change. And Jake, I'm sure we'll have some bookets about where we think ADPs are going to end up as we get closer to the year. But that's kind of how these are sorted right now. So ADPs on this, those are the top players. So when we're talking about fantasy relevant players, these are the top 6 for every team.
So please don't grill us in the chat. We know these will change. Okay.
Yep.
Who's drafting in May? That's the big question. I mean, 8 weeks from now it'll be July, and that'll be a little closer. But so let's start with Josh Allen. So last year he finished as quarterback 1. He had a great fantasy year, 29 touchdowns, another 500 yards on the ground. The big thing is the 15 rushing touchdowns, right? Currently going 2-7, first quarterback off the board. Jordan, my question to you, and I think this is how we will do this going forward. We're going to pose a question to each other. That way we can kind of keep it moving. But will he be quarterback 1 again? And would you take him at 2-7?
No. And no. Part of that, well, then those are kind of two different things for me. Would I take him at 2-7 is a no, and that's how my feelings about drafting quarterbacks early, right?
Yeah.
Like if you still have him listed as your QB1 on your board and you're going to take him early, like that's fine. So that is just philosophy. I feel that way. The first question you asked though was, will he finish QB1 again? And that to me is riskier. No Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis, new group of wide receivers, upgraded running back. Really, like James Cook has shown that he can carry. He can be the bell cow. Does he get 15 rushing touchdowns again? Is really what I'm looking at. And I don't think so. And so that's why I don't think he could still finish his quarterback 1, but the margin might be a little bit smaller.
Agreed.
So I don't think he'll have as good of a season fantasy wise next year. And I wouldn't draft him at 2.
We've always talked about not taking quarterbacks too high, so it's not for me. It's not for this podcast. We're not taking him high. If you take him, I think there's a good chance he could be quarterback one again. So I mean, it's a safe. It's him or Lamar or Mahomes in my eyes. So still a little too rich for my blood, but still fantasy or great player. Whenever you get him, you're getting a really good player. So I don't hate it ever if you want your quarterback. Super flex. We mentioned we're not talking that. If that's the case, he's the first overall pick in my eyes. In a super flex.
In a super flex, yeah.
All right, keep it going. We got James Cook, running back 11 last year. 11. He had 1,500 all-purpose yards, only 6 touchdowns. He finished running back 14, 5th round. Let me talk about this. I think that we could be talking about him being taking a bit of a leap, maybe top 8. Because, listen, you're running back 11, 1,500 yards, and you only scored 6 times. I think if you see Allen's rushing touchdowns go down a little, you'll see Cook go up, and I think he could outproduce round 5 right now. I mean, right now he's a mid running back 2. I think we could get running back 1 out of him. So I like the upside at that ADP. I would expect that to go up as we hit the summer.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I love the ADP of 5th round for James Cook. I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That will go up. And I think the real indicator here is exactly what I said. Josh Allen ran for 15 touchdowns. Is that likely? No, but could those touchdowns go somewhere else? Yes. And could they go to James Cook? Also yes. So he had 6 total touchdowns. Let's say he boosts that up to, 7, 8, 9 instead of 6 total touchdowns. He finishes running back 11. You're now, running back 1, running back 1 with just a couple more touchdowns there. So I like James Cook a lot this year, especially with the wide receiver.
Man, if that ADP stays where it is, I might be talking James Cook all summer. I really do. And as we kind of figure out ADPs as it goes on, man, that would 5th round, give me that all day. I mean, I think I think top 8 is more realistic. It wouldn't shock me if you give him 10 touchdowns, right? If you take 5 touchdowns away from Josh Allen and give them to Cook, he's in the top 5, top 3. So certainly possible. So we're pretty high on him. I'm going to skip to the tight end here because I want to talk about the receivers for just a few more minutes. But Dalton Kincaid, 16 games, played only 673 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's currently going as tight end 5 in the 7th round. Thoughts?
No. I'll
say yes.
Dawson Knox is still there. Dalton Kincaid is the young gun. I like him more than I like Dawson Knox. But tight end 5, 7th round tight end for a guy who shares the role of tight end.
Do you have those rankings here, Jordan? Can you look it up? What tight ends are going around him? Do you have them close or no?
I can get those.
I think I like the upside. I mean, the first 73 catches, I love only 2 touchdowns. That's the huge thing, right? Though I will say, you do have a good point where he finishes tight end 14 and he's being taken by tight end 5. Which is quite a leap. That's a lot of people saying we believe in the upside. I also believe in the upside. And if you're taking a tight end in the 7th round, okay. That's where you start thinking about it, right? But for me, I'd probably prefer someone more. Go ahead.
Yeah, the tight ends taken around him specifically. Mark Andrews.
I'd rather have Mark
Andrews
Andrews
before him in ADP.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts, a few picks after him. George Kittle, also a few picks after.
Honestly, I'd probably rather have all of them.
I agree. I like
McBride
Kincaid.
going?
It just feels like the hype is there and he hasn't proved it. Second year.
Where's McBride?
We'll get to receivers. Pass catchers are a little questionable there. So I like it. He could really pan out.
It could.
But the risk is also there, and I don't love the risk.
Where's McBride going?
Your boy Trey McBride is the 3rd overall.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that later on. In about a month, we're going to talk about why he will be tight end number 1. Anyways, all right, let's talk about these receivers. So we got MVS, who's coming off his worst season ever. We have Curtis Samuel, who's there. We have Keon Coleman, and we have Khalil Shakir. If they're all going, MVS no ADP, but I would assume he's probably going undrafted would be my guess. They're all going between rounds 13 and 16. Which one do you want?
This is just total shot in the dark.
Yeah.
People are just, this is going to be one of those where I don't hate, I'm going to be honest, at round 14 or beyond, I don't hate any of them.
No.
Like, for you to say I'm just gonna take I'm gonna take a guess at which one I think is gonna be Josh Allen's primary target, and you pick MVS, or you pick Curtis Samuel, or you pick Khalil Shakir because he's the only one that's better, or you pick the rookie. I don't hate any of those. If any of those ADPs get pushed up into like round 10, that's the one I don't like for any of them.
Agreed, 100%. So right now ADP has Keon Coleman going last of those. I would say that's the one I'm most excited about.
The other one I'm intrigued by is Khalil Shakir because he's the only one that's been there. He was there last year and he had some good playoff games and stuff. So
it's worth
he's
saying
the only one
here
that has the continuity.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. It's worth saying here that we've seen Josh Allen produce multiple receivers. So it's possible we could have two of these guys outproduce their ADP easily. Are any of them going to be good wide receiver 2? It makes me a little nervous. But right now you're taking these guys as your wide receiver 6 in some cases, 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And they could for sure, if you guess right, be a wide receiver 3 weekly. Or wide receiver 4 weekly, wide receiver 3, like upside, right? Olsen, oh yeah. Jamie points out, don't forget Justin Shorter as the Bills' 4th receiver. So like, shots in the dark. I love shots in the dark. I love that. Give me a shot in the dark. I'm going Keon Coleman. Shakir has options. Samuel's been a proven guy for a while, so yeah.
MVS could get you touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure MVS will end up on our Monday Night Miracle at some points this upcoming year.
Don't take Chase Claypool. That's the only one I feel strongly about.
Oh yeah, I feel very strongly about that. God,
yeah,
he's such a. I was going to use a word I shouldn't use. So
moving on.
He's not
moving
good.
on. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's go on to the. Sorry, let me pull this up. What team you want to do, Jordan? Make the pick.
Let's do the Dolphins.
The Dolphins. All right. Yeah. The Finns. So this is not much turnover from last year. Talking about Tua, reports came out today that they're looking to give him more of an incentive deal. So, big money, obviously, but, hey, hit this bonus and you're going to make even more than a typical bonus, right? Oh, you stayed healthy and played 17 games, then you'll make more money. Probably because of the injury risk. I don't think it's fair. Going into last year, everyone hated on him, right? Because they were worried about the injury, and then he went and played 17 games. So I refuse to be the one of those people now who are going to be like, he might get hurt. We just saw him not. He got sacked. It didn't matter. So, going into that, QB 14, he finished QB 11 last year, 29 touchdowns, 14 picks, only 74 rushing yards. Currently going in the 10th round. Jordan, yes or no, he's a top 10 quarterback this year? He finished quarterback 11 last year. If he does finish in the top 10, he would finish at like 9 or 10. I mean, he finished quarterback 11 with like a banner year for him. This is a top year. That's my thing is, this is where he should go, and this is where I feel really good. I feel good taking him here. Your back-end quarterback 1, right? Tyreek Hill had 1,800 yards, right? Jalen Waddle had 1,000 yards. How is it going to be any better is my question, right? So, only finishing as quarterback 11, I think that's right where he belongs. It's accurate.
Well, yeah, and he's getting drafted as QB 14, so people are. I also would think he's accurately getting drafted. Yeah. I like the ADP there. If you're waiting on quarterbacks and you end up in the 10th round, like he's going 10-6 right now, you end up in the 10th round and Tua is staring there, and you don't have a quarterback. I have no problems with you taking Tua.
Yeah,
he has that. He could take you to championship and stuff like that. Getting things pointed out in the chat about the 30-degree weather. Maybe that is something to keep an eye out in those week 16, 17 matchups. Looking at the schedule,
we're not worried about that yet.
But
all right, Jordan.
I like Tua. I like Tua at this ADP.
Yeah, it's a good spot. And if it doesn't change, then that's what I like. I don't want him going in the 8th round. I don't like that. 10th round, I feel good about. How could you not feel good about you're taking the 10th quarterback, and he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? You have to feel good about that. All right, here's a fun one, Jordan. We got Raheem Mostert finished running back 2 last year because he had 21 touchdowns. Going in the 9th round. Running back 26. Okay. Pretty low for a guy who just finished running back 2. Hold on.
Yeah, but people are replacing it.
Let me.
Yeah, of course.
And then you got Devon A. Chain. I know that's not how you pronounce his last name, but I'm going to stick with it. He had pretty much 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and he's going in the second round, running back 10. So they're pretty much flipped. Make that make sense.
It's because what we saw. We saw A-Chain like go off, and he played 11 games last year, and he finished as running back 21. Like, so the explosiveness is there. People are trying to tap into that. As an owner of A-Chain in a dynasty league, I feel very strongly about him. I like him a lot. What I don't like a lot about him is his current ADP.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I like Mostert's ADP way more than I like A-Chain's ADP.
Listen, I think that A-Chain will finish better than Mostert this year. I feel confident in saying that. I don't think it's going to be huge, though. So, I mean...
Yeah, the touchdowns are going to come way down. Raheem Mostert's touchdowns can come way down, way down from 21. But 1,000-yard rushing season, a little bit of receiving upside, and let's say he gets half the touchdowns, a third of the touchdowns, he's still his ADP at running back 26 is perfect for him. Mm-hmm. Like, if he gets a third of the touchdowns that he had last year. So, anyway, I like him. I like Mostert. I like them both.
I don't like A-Chain's ADP. I love Mostert's ADP. I think they'll average out a little, I think.
Yeah.
Going forward. All right, receivers. We got Tyreek Hill coming off just a stupid good year. A lot of 9s in his stats, which I hate. 119 catches. 1,799 yards. It's like, come on. 1 catch, 1 yard. It would look so good. What are you doing? Listen, he came just a stupid good year. He finished wide receiver 2, which is crazy. You would think a typical year he'd be wide receiver 1. He's currently going as the 3rd overall pick. Sure. I think that's great. Yeah, that's great. I think it's CMC. Personally, for me, it's CMC because he's so much better than everyone else. And then it's either him, Hill, or Lamb. So like, for me, flip-flop him. I don't care. I think it's accurate and it should go there. So I'm not even going to let you talk about that one.
Well, okay, I have one question. Do you think he repeats it?
No.
Or do you think he has a worse season?
No, I still think he finishes as a top 4 wide receiver, but it is hard to repeat that. But it is certainly possible.
He's entering that he's over 30. Remember my feeling about wide receivers over the age of 30. Jake.
Yeah, I hear you. But they
don't get 1,500-yard seasons anymore.
They did last year.
Fact. I'm sorry.
Didn't someone do it last year?
You're gonna fact check me like this?
No, it's fine. All right, Jalen Waddle currently going in the 5th round. Finishes wide receiver 32, being taken as wide receiver 21. He only played 14 games last year, and I think that's kind of, why you're seeing that. I like that ADP. I do. Waddle, Higgins, those are like those first receivers that start getting taken. The first receivers that get taken ahead of wide receiver 1s on other bad teams. They are the wide receiver 2 on their team, but their upside's so much better than, let's say, Deontay Johnson, right? Who's the wide receiver 1 in Carolina. So I like this ADP. I would expect it to stay there.
Yeah, he only played 14 games. An injured season, if he played all 17, he would finish where his ADP is now. And a couple more touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, small amount of touchdowns. A couple more breakout, because if he's scoring a touchdown, it's 50 yards. So, I like that ADP too. I agree. I hate that I keep agreeing with you, Jake, but these ADPs are so reasonable.
I know. Breaking news. I got some good heartwarming stuff for you, Jordan. Mm-hmm. Texans defensive end, Dylan Horton. Do you remember him from last year? He was the guy who got, I believe, drafted, or it was whatever it was, but they found out he had lymphoma. You remember that? You don't even remember. Boo! Anyways, more importantly, he had stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma last year. Obviously didn't play, and he is cancer-free today.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
That is very exciting news.
That's very exciting news.
For him.
Great.
Hopefully he can get back to the field. Snaps. All right,
Snaps.
Wide receiver 3, Odell Beckham Jr. All right. Currently being taken in, you misprinted that. Jordan wrote...
Jake, that is 100% the correct ADP, which doesn't even exist.
Oh
yes, his ADP is so low, it does not exist.
With an injury, I think he can produce something. What I will say is this is for football, and this is where he needs to be, right? your wide receiver 3 on your team makes a lot of sense, does it not? In a football... Wait, he should just be out of the league?
Yes.
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Or go to Tennessee where they want everybody. I don't know.
Everybody's leftovers.
You think as the third option, he can stay healthy enough to be like...
Do I think he can outproduce wide receiver 101? Which is what he's going as.
Yeah, he barely did last year on the Ravens when he was like the guy.
Okay, I'm not going to make a fantasy play on it. I'm just saying I think for him, if he's going to continue his career, he is the wide receiver 3 on a team.
Yeah,
don't draft him.
Of course. Fantasy-wise,
don't draft
him. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, sorry. We might have been agreeing again, but your love for Odell blinds you sometimes.
John in the chat asks, which duo of these two, he's meaning Hill and Waddle, do you try and draft? Or would you ever try and draft both and play them weekly? So you draft Hill and you draft Waddle, and then you play them weekly. That makes me nervous because it one bad week for the Dolphins, and all of a sudden you're going to lose your fantasy badger. Yeah. So I don't love doing that. It'd be risky. It'd be very risky. But, you might get really lucky if the Dolphins are really good. And then they got Jonnu Smith, currently 19th round. I'm not even going to talk about it. Don't draft him. He's not what you want. Leave him on the waiver wire. And if you need a tight end really badly because you drafted Travis Kelce for 1 week, sure, give it a shot.
Yeah, he's the Odell Beckham Jr. of tight ends. Don't draft him.
Oh, Jamie says, give me Malik Washington. I'm air quoting, quarterback for the Patriots last year. Remember that? He's on the Dolphins now. All right,
he's on the Dolphins.
Jeez, Jordan, we're 30 minutes in. Let's keep it moving here.
All right,
Patriots.
Let's do Patriots next.
Rapid fire. Drake May. Don't draft him.
Change the graphic.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Anyways, keep saying Drake May. Don't draft him.
Drake May is the rookie. He's being drafted over Jacoby Brissett. Don't draft either of them.
Perfect. I know you might want to. I will say, I hate to be that guy. Rookie quarterbacks are fun. He's a top 3 pick. If your very last pick, want to if you're like, oh man, I've drafted great, and you want to just take a flyer on someone, I don't hate it on just like random rookie quarterbacks. So it's fun. It is fun. But don't draft him as your wide or your quarterback 1 or your quarterback 2. Please don't do that. Don't even want him as your quarterback 3. Don't do that.
I like Jacoby Brissett because it sounds like he might start, which is I wouldn't do that if I was running the team, but they're talking about it. Anyway, we're talking about this already.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson. Finished running back 35. He did get hurt going into last year, so he only played 12 games. Currently running back 27th round. Thoughts?
No.
You don't like him in the 7th round?
The only reason I liked him is because he was getting dinks and dunks from Mac Jones. And then they brought in Antonio Gibson, who's the dink and dunk king.
He was on pace for 1,000 yards.
Cool. No.
Okay, I'll say it. Okay, come on, Jordan, make a bucket. Will he finish better or worse than running back 20?
Will Ramondre Stevenson be better than running back 20? Yeah. No, and you can book it.
All right, there it is, guys. There it is. I actually don't. I like that. I mean, you're getting a running back 1 in the 7th round, like on the depth chart. So
is it?
Yes. He will get goal line. So he was losing last year, losing a lot to Zeke, right? So we can assume that his receptions will go down. It is interesting that Antonio Gibson finishes running back 45, 15th round. PPR league, I like him a lot more. He only had 48 catches last year, which is kind of surprising, is it not? Considering Stevenson...
Yeah, but it kind of became Brian Robinson's show.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't use him right.
Brian Robinson was a top... I mean, we'll get to him when we talk to Commanders, but he was like a top tier.
Here's what I expect in this backfield. You get Ramondre Stevenson, and this is going to be a classic 1st and 2nd down. It's him, and he has the touchdown upside. And then as soon as it's 3rd down, 3rd and more than 4, then here comes Gibson. And when they're down in the 4th quarter, you're going to see a lot more Gibson. So Stevenson...
Yeah, which they will be.
If you have Stevenson as your running back 3... I'm okay with. I feel okay with that. But depending what your flex looks like, that's him. But running back 3, I'm okay with. I still though because I think he'll finish better than running back 20. So you disagree, and it's fine. All right, let's talk about receivers and the tight end. Hunter Henry. Let's talk about it again. Same as Jonnu Smith for me. No, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So let's just move on. Again, leave him on your waiver wire. I don't foresee him doing very well. So receivers, we got Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and Jalen Polk out of Washington, all going very late. Who's the one to own with your flyer in the late rounds?
Yeah, just for the record, all of these people have better ADPs than Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay,
so
thank you. Keep
just,
going.
Just wanted to let the people know. This one's wild to me. Similar to what we talked about with the Bills, I kind of like the rookie upside. I like Jalen Polk as the rookie upside, but if I'm picking between the other ones, it's Mario Douglas. He had a better end of the year. He felt like he was
sneaky good.
He was well. I don't know if he was sneaky good, but it just was kind of like he was kind of always lingering. Like you were like, oh wait a minute, he seems to be the guy. Kendrick Bourne was hurt a lot. Like to me, Kendrick Bourne is last on the list.
Yeah, Jalen Polk's the fun one, the exciting one, the unknown. But if you're taking one of these guys, the problem with Demario Douglas here is that if you're taking a guy this late, you want the unknown, right? You want he could be really good, right? And I do think Douglas will be better than wide receiver 74. I do think that. But it's not as exciting, right? And so I would say Douglas, a good waiver wire guy to keep your eye on. Probably a guy that won't be drafted, but one of these guys is going to be drafted. You might see two of these guys get drafted, or you might see none of them get drafted. One of them is going to be wide receiver 1 on this team.
Someone has to catch the ball.
The exciting part is Jalen Polk. The safe bet is Douglas in my eyes.
Yep. It's a good way to think about it.
Jamie says, wait, no Hunter Henry for you guys. Rookie quarterbacks like to rely on their tight ends. My thought is this. We have seen Hunter Henry for how many years? And with how many quarterbacks? And it doesn't matter. I mean, he has more touchdown upside than, say, Jonnu Smith, I'll say. Or the next guy we're going to Tyler Conklin. So if that's what you're looking for, great. But you're not drafting him to be your tight end 1. And then also, in fairness, I'm not a big fan of drafting 2 tight ends easy, but we can get into strategies later on. But
yeah, I don't mind Hunter Henry like when you're streaming him. But to draft him, it's not for me.
Yeah, there's 11 other guys I'd rather have. If you decide to wait and you're like, you know what, we're gonna just stream tight ends for week 1, sure, take Hunter Henry. I don't hate that. All right, moving on. We got the last team, your New York Jets, who are starting on Monday Night Football. So Aaron Rodgers' other Achilles is going to be struggling. Aaron Rodgers, obviously injured on the first drive, still finished as quarterback 76.
I know, I had to put that in there.
Currently a 12th round pick. Go ahead, Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Currently he's going in the 12th round. He's going as quarterback 20.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I don't think that'll stay, but that to me is like you're getting him late. You could have Tua and Aaron Rodgers. Like, love it. Love.
It's Aaron Rodgers, and until we see him play and not perform, I mean, he could be top 10. So I like the upside. I really do. I really like the upside there because we haven't seen him play bad. We saw him got hurt, really unlucky, but we still haven't seen him as a Jet. So, I mean, sure, knock him down a few rounds. 12 rounds, I love that. Or 12th round, I love that. If you miss out on 2 or something like that. But like I said, you know what? Let's do it. Aaron Rodgers finishes as a top 10 quarterback this year.
Oh, why would you do that to yourself?
The bucket. Why would you do that? Because it's fun. Also, I think with this receiving core is pretty good.
You don't think he's going to get hurt again?
I don't. You can't. I refuse to predict injuries. I'm not going to do that. And he's never had a catastrophic injury like he did this past year.
Yeah, but he's 41.
I hear you, but I'm not going to predict it. Assuming he doesn't get hurt.
You're counting. Okay.
Sure.
You're carving out.
But in every bucket we do, we'll be like, he got hurt, So I am hedging my bet a little there. And also, Zach says in the chat, broken collarbone wasn't wasn't a full season. Like, Achilles and broken collarbone are 2 different tiers of injuries. So,
one you get Seneca Wallace, and one you get Zach Wilson.
Jamie says, as current ADP says, give me Goff a round earlier. So that would put us at Tua, Goff, and Rodgers in that order, in like rounds.
When we're talking about ADPs.
Yeah, and ADPs. That is interesting. I don't hate that. See, this is all just who you want later on, and that's kind of the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Running back Breece Hall, running back 7 last year. Currently,
he finished as running back 7.
Finished as running back 7. Currently going as at 1-4 running back 2. You tell me, is there a running back you would take other than CMC over him this year?
Bijan?
Bijan's the other one, which I don't hate if you want to go that way. But
yeah,
it's him and Bijan. Currently going 1-4, which means as it stands, you have CMC, Lamb, Hill, and then you have Breece Hall. So you might see another receiver go early there, but I like him there.
Chase,
I don't hate it. Yep.
What about Jahmyr Gibbs?
I'd rather have Hall because we still have Montgomery there, but Gibbs is really interesting. We'll talk about him. As his current ADP, he's in the back half of the first round, right where Mixon was going last year, and we talked a lot about that. I see it really similar, actually.
No, I don't hate. Breece Hall's going to go in the first round.
Yes.
So that's just life.
That right there is you picking at 1-4. That's where the draft starts for me. Do you want running back or do you want a receiver? And I think that's where you'll see a lot of first rounds go differently. You might have a run on receiver, run on running back. Zach says it's ended his season. Yes, it did, but it's different than an Achilles.
Jake, my only concern with Breece Hall is the number of receptions. Do you think Aaron Rodgers dinks and dunks like
no?
Zach
I don't.
Wilson
I don't. But we've seen Aaron Jones. We saw Aaron Jones have 50, right in the 50 yards. I think it'll offset itself. I'm sorry, I misspoke. He right in the 50 reception total. I think it offsets itself, right? He'll have less receptions, but he'll have more rushing yards, so it'll fix itself.
Balance. Yeah.
Wide receivers. We got Garrett Wilson. Finished as wide receiver 36 he had 1,000 yards with a terrible offense. Currently going at 2-4. Wide receiver 8. Love that. I really like that. And then we got Mike Williams. Got hurt. Pretty good first 3 games, I may say. He only played 3 games, but they were good 3 games. 20 receptions, 250 yards, touchdown. 12th round ADP. I also love that. What are your thoughts?
12th round for Mike Williams?
Yeah, on both of those.
Yeah.
If you're spending one of those picks, pick one. You want 2-4 and Garrett Wilson, or do you want 12-8 and Mike Williams?
2-4 and Garrett Wilson.
I will say I would agree only because of Mike Williams' injury history. But I do like the upside of Mike Williams if he stays healthy. At round 12.
Yeah, agreed. Yep. Yeah. I my fear is that will increase as
Yes, I would expect that. I will sure, let's make a book it. I think he's in single digits by the start of the season. That ADP.
I lost you.
Oh, geez, he lost me. Do you hear me now?
Oh no.
Oh
wait,
no.
We're back.
All right, cool.
We're back.
Jordan.
Last thing on Garrett Wilson, I'll say is he had 170 targets, 168 targets, and he only had 98 receptions. They were just throwing it to nobody.
Throwing it to
his
nobody.
quarterback play was so bad, so that's why I'm excited about Garrett Wilson this year.
Yeah,
assuming Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
Tight end, we got Tyler Conklin. Not worried about that, and then Jordan put Braylon Allen as the flex. I would say it's the 3rd round receiver out of Western Kentucky. What's his Malachi something?
They were both. Yeah, I looked at the ADPs, and Braylon Allen is an inch on him, but I agree. When I'm looking at that, it's Breece Hall's backfield.
Yeah, but all right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. There you go. That's the AFC East. Next week we will do I'm looking at graphics department here.
For next?
Yeah, make the call.
The AFC West.
No, we're not going to do that one because we're going to hope Adam will be there. So
we'll do the NFC East.
No, jeez. All right, I'm going to take care of it. We're going to do the AFC North. We're going to do all the AFC
Well, if there was a right answer, why did you ask me?
Because
Jordan, get out of here.
When we start, you start at the top and go around. Jeez Louise. This guy, the graphics department.
Embarrassing.
Jordan, we appreciate anyone who is watching and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. Jordan, are we doing Thursdays going forward?
We'll be in touch.
Make sure you're checking on Facebook. That's the big one. Jordan, you got anything else you want to say?
No, I do not. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks. All right, guys. You take care. Be good.
to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast.